Arteta out. Really? Really? Arsenal drew with Atalanta last night. And in my match reaction to that game, looking at this from the outside in, I think it was a good result. Yes, they should have been better from an attacking perspective. Yes, it wasn't their best attacking game. And I watched Lee Judge's fan cam on AFTV, and I agree with practically everything he said. They're the Europa League champions. The European football is different. Arsenal have kept 4 clean sheets this season already. Defensively, arguably the best team in Europe right now. You're going away. As long as you win your home games, I said this yesterday on my match reaction, as long as you win your home games in a European competition and you don't lose away, you've got every chance of qualifying for the next round, and I believe Arsenal will do. But I saw a lot of reaction on the socials last night. Get him out. We're not good enough. And look, from a Tottenham fan, who at the moment we are scraping over the line to beat Coventry, and you look across other results in the Champions League, PSG needing an own goal to beat Girona. Manchester City and Inter Milan both had big chances in that game. They drew 0-0. Barcelona lost as well. The Champions League this year, 2 extra games. Then there's a qualification process to the last 16 if you don't win a majority of your games. It's a different competition this year. Yes, it's still the same competition, but it's different if that makes sense. Make sure you go down, drop a like on the video if you haven't already. And I'm all for fans showing their emotion. And I did. I had a huge rant when we lost to Arsenal because I thought it was unjustified. But Arsenal didn't even lose this game. And the reaction, get him out, we're not good enough. Okay, let's apply some context. Yes, you haven't won the league title, right? So if any fan criticizing him for not winning a major honour other than the FA Cup, you got every right to. And I'm not telling each person how they should and shouldn't support their football club, because I've been very, very, very vocal about Ange. I've been very vocal about the ownership of Tottenham. But Arsenal have finished runners-up to the greatest side in Premier League history, not once but twice. They've closed that gap from 5 points to 2 points. They're in the Champions League, which they weren't for a number of years now. They are building a good squad. They've got a very, very, very strong and stable back line, along with a incredible goalkeeper who I think is world class now. And people say, oh, but he's only had one season. He won the Golden Glove in his first year. His first full season. And he's made worldy saves against Villa, worldy saves against Atalanta. And people will say, you know, the goalkeeper's been man of the match for 2 games. That's absolutely fine. You are not performing at your best. We can all see that from an attacking standpoint, which means it's only probably going to go better. So you're only going to get better, in my opinion, because they've got a lot of talented players. And let's not forget, they've lost their captain. Yes, of course, Manchester City lost Kevin De Bruyne for 5 months, but they've got a better squad than Arsenal. They've got a better squad. They've got Rodri, who's the best defensive midfielder in the world. They've got very, very good defense. They've got a very good goalkeeper. They've got the best number 9 in the world. They've got one of the best playmakers in Phil Foden in the world. Now, Arsenal have got a very good squad, and they've proved themselves under Arteta that trusting the process, they are on an upward trajectory. They're conceding less goals than any other team in the league. They're scoring a lot more goals. They are winning a lot more games. They're going further into competitions now. You know, I think I'm not necessarily saying it's reactionary because I'm not telling each person how to support a football club. All I would say is, for me personally, looking at this collectively from a rival's perspective, I think Arsenal genuinely are a very, very strong side. And I don't necessarily think you can have a go at Arteta. If you want to be critical and you want to, you know, pick things apart and look at it from the outside in, from a wider scope, you could maybe criticize their transfer window and say, did they give Arteta enough? Did they go out and get a Victor Gyökeres? Did they go out and get a Nico Williams? I certainly thought Arsenal would go out and break the bank for a striker, but they didn't. They decided to go for a name that they know that Arteta is very familiar with in Raheem Sterling. Yes, we can all see that to a degree they need more options. Should they have sold Smith Rowe? Probably not. Should they have sold Vieira? Probably not. But they raised funds. Who knows? In January, they may go out and break the bank for a striker. They may go and break the bank out for a Benjamin Sesko next year, or a Victor Gyökeres, or an Alexander Isak. But I don't get the reaction. Obviously, Standard FC are going to be like, you've got to win every single game. If you don't win every single game, you're an absolute failure. Well, Manchester City don't win every single game. I know Jurgen Klopp won a Champions League 3 years into his process. You can see what Arteta's game plan is. The reason why I'm out is our results have been diabolical for 10 months. We are not beating big six sides. Arteta won the FA Cup in his first year. We didn't even get past the second round of the League Cup against Fulham. We scraped it against Coventry in the third round of the League Cup this year. I just don't understand the argument for Arteta out. Arsenal are a very, very, very big football club, but Manchester City at present are better. Manchester City have spent more money in the last 15 years than Arsenal. Manchester City have signed better players than Arsenal. So is that an Arteta problem or is that a club problem? Let me know down below. This weekend, absolutely huge. Huge for them. My prediction, I'm going 0-0. That Arsenal defence cannot be penetrated. They are very, very, very good. And for everyone that's saying, oh, yeah, etc., 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 Arsenal, not good enough, in their Champions League game, that's absolutely fine. Let's just go through some of the Champions League results. Let's just go through it while we're on the concept of the Champions League. That's okay. Let's go for it. So Man City didn't win. Inter Milan didn't win. PSG took an own goal to beat Girona. Real Madrid were drawing until the 83rd minute against Stuttgart. Bayern Munich smashed Dynamo Zagreb. Villa won. Dortmund won. Leverkusen won. Atletico Madrid, tough game. They got over the line. Barcelona lost. It's the Champions League. It's the hardest competition in the world for a reason. And when you look at Arsenal's Champions League home games against PSG, against Shakhtar Donetsk, let's be honest, against Monaco, against Dynamo Zagreb, they will win every single home game. And I believe they'll go out and put in good defensive performances away from home. And everyone was saying, for people saying, it's Jose football. Yeah, Jose won 20 league titles playing like this, or 20 trophies playing like this. Who's to say that Arteta, who's only, 42 years of age, can't go and win 10 league titles? I think it's a good thing that managers have a different tactical approach to games. I say this all the time. Ange Postecoglou's got one way of playing. It's Ange ball. And if Ange ball doesn't work, there's no other way of us playing football. It's Ange ball or nothing. That's it. It's Ange ball or nothing. And I think you can comfortably criticize teams for doing that. For not reacting to to managers' game plans. And that's what Ange does. But Arteta does do that. Arteta knew his game plan against Spurs, got the job done. Knew his game plan against Villa, got the job done. Knew his game plan against Atalanta, come out of it with a draw. We go into games against Coventry, we're all over the place. We go into games against Arsenal, we couldn't hit a barn door. So I think fans need to be somewhat directing some of this criticism, maybe not necessarily to Arteta, but to the ownership. Like, did Arsenal do enough in the transfer window? I think they had a good window. Not a world-class window. I think they had a good window. They brought in Calafiori. They brought in Mikel Merino. It's unfortunate that Mikel Merino's got a shoulder injury, but that's not Arteta's fault. And that's not the club's fault. It's a very unfortunate event that's happened. Raheem Sterling, I think, will be a good signing. People were ripping into him. He played 20 minutes against Atalanta. Like, give him 20-odd games yet. Martinelli's the one that should be getting more criticism because he hasn't been at it for about 10 months. He hasn't got a goal contribution in 17 games. He should be the one that's getting more of the criticism. But giving Arteta criticism, ripping into Saka, I don't know. Let me know your thoughts down below. Let us know your thoughts. Make sure you have subscribed to the channel. That would be greatly appreciated. We are on the road to 25,000. Big up to everyone. We just hit 23,000, which is genuinely, phenomenal support on this channel. I am going to drop a video later today talking about City. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe.